Huddle. Hold on, I'm feeling the energy, but I'm gonna need some more. Good evening, Huddle. I like that, I like that, I like that. Happy Monday, y'all. I'm glad everyone got here safe. We're gonna enjoy our time today and brush up on some topics, but first, we're gonna get into a prayer and scripture from one of our own, Miss Carolyn. Clap it up for her, y'all.
Good evening, Huddle family. I'm Reverend Carolyn Haynes, and I'm going to do the scripture from Luke 6:46 through 49. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? As for everyone who comes to me and hears my words and put them into practice, I will show you what they are like. They are like a man building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck that house but could not shake it because it was well built. But the one who hears my word and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. The moment the torrent struck the house, it collapsed, and its destruction was completed. And that was Luke 6, verses 46 through 49, New King James Version. Right now, I'm going to pray for our leader, Reverend Sharpton, that God keeps him safe, keep him healthy, keep him strong, and everything that he go after should come out fine. Because no weapons formed against him should prosper. Because God is his protector. He's protecting him everywhere he goes. He's above him, behind him, below him, and beside him. And for our young people in school, God bless them and protect them, because I don't know what's going on with the world, that people is attacking children because they are our next generation. God protect them. God help the ones that's in jail and in prison. Some may be there for, they may have done a crime, and some may not have done a crime. But God, you know all about them. If there's mental illness, God, give them strength and help them to realize that you are in control. And whatever help they need, that someone would give them a second chance on life. And thank you for protecting us from these people with the guns. Some of the people are enemies in their own home. Someone have a gun, and they decide they want to react. So right now, I want to thank Ashley Sharpton for having this program for the young people to let them express themselves the way they would like to, because sometimes you can't talk to people, you can't talk to your friends, but by having this place they could come and discuss what's going on in their affairs. And thank Dominique Sharp and Bright for helping Ashley carry this program out. And I want to bless Mrs. Sharpton, Dr. Sharpton, for her coming out every Monday to see that the young people and whoever else is here have food. God bless each and every one that's here tonight, that you will have a safe trip home. Bless the ones that want to come and was not able to come. But God, you know whatever challenges they're experiencing, you are in control of them. And all is well in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Carolyn. I sound good on this mic. Y'all hear me? You like it? Stop. Next, we have our action alerts from our Huddle founder and director, Ashley Sharpton. Clap it up for her, y'all.
Thank you, Giselle. Happy Huddle Monday to everyone gathered and those who are watching. Does anybody know who was announced this week that's coming to NAN's 2023 convention? Gino? I can't. Kaylee? That's the dates, yes. The 12th through the 15th. All the mayors. Tyler Perry, that's a good one. Anybody else? There you go. Kamala Harris is coming. Anybody else want to throw theirs in? Gleason? Magic Johnson will be in the building. Okay. Okay, Kaylee, second that. Who's that? Mother, who's that? Mother Chapman? Tyler Perry, that's right. All right, so that's a good lineup, right? Anybody else want to throw? M will be in the building. Emerald Snipes on the State of the Violence panel. Okay, anybody else? Giselle's supposed to be moderating if she responds to her email. Okay, so the action alerts I'm going to be sharing about convention written by Dr. Jamal Watson. As we just heard, Vice President Kamala Harris will deliver the keynote address on the third day of the National Action Network annual convention hosted by the Reverend Al Sharpton in New York City. Vice President Harris's participation reflects a strong collaboration with NAN. In 2021, she keynoted the NAN 30th Anniversary Triumph Awards in New York City. A lot of us were there. Earlier this year, the Vice President appeared alongside Reverend Sharpton at the funeral of Tyree Nichols after he was beaten to death by Memphis police officers. The Vice President's address will come as at least 9 other members of the Biden-Harris administration are set to speak over the first 3 days of the convention. Those include, now bear with me, Secretaries Gina Raimondo, Pete Buttigieg, Alejandro N. Mayorkas, Dennis McDonough, Dr. Miguel Cardona, Ambassador Lindis Thomas Greenfield, U.S. Representative to the United Nations, EPA Administrator Michael Reagan, Ambassador Susan Rice, DP Advisor and Director of the Domestic Policy Council, and Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clark. Panels, plenary addresses, and events will all be rooted in the need to empower Black Americans during this vital time. The convention will also feature entertainers, like we just heard, Kerry Washington, Tyler Perry, and the mothers of the movement, news figures Michelle Miller, Lawrence O'Donnell, business titans Robert F. Smith and Irvin Magic Johnson, and leaders of the Black Church, including Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, who is the chairman of our board and the Conference of National Black Churches. So who's here registered already? Put your hands up. Oh, that's good. All right, most of the room. That's like 90% of the room. Winston, you have to register. Sorry. Okay, so make sure you register. Those who are watching, if you have not registered already, nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net. You can register online for free today. You can check out the schedule. It is there. It's there. It's pretty exciting. There probably will be some changes, but that's basically the tentative schedule that's up. And you can also, if you come in, if you don't want to register online, if you are not connected to Wi-Fi for some reason, you can come in and give your information to the front desk, and we will make sure that you are registered as well. All right? One more time, if they didn't hear Gino, what are the dates of the convention? All right. Anybody else besides Gino? Are we awake? What dates? Thank you, Alyssa. All right. Somebody is listening. All right. For the last 3 weeks, unfortunately, we've been talking about a man who was killed because of mental health issues. Deputies were fired recently. Anybody know his name? He was killed in Virginia. I hear you, Lisa. You talking to me? You talking to us? No? Nobody? It starts with an I? Okay, his name was Ervo Otieno. Can we all say his name? Ervo Otieno. Ervo Otieno. Okay. Reverend Sharpton will deliver the eulogy at the funeral of Ervo Otieno, a Virginia man who died while being transported to a mental health hospital. Mr. Otieno died of apparent suffocation while in custody at Dinwiddle's Mental Health Hospital. Video footage shows that 7 Henrico sheriff's deputies and 3 Central State employees held him down at different points while he was shackled on his hands and feet for approximately 12 minutes. One sheriff had his knee on Otieno's neck. The funeral is slated to take place this Wednesday, March 29th at the First Baptist Church in Richmond, Virginia. JT and I will also be going, so we will definitely have a report back about what's going on. And later in the Did You Know segment, there are 2 articles about police reform that basically apply to this case. Thank you for your time and attention. Turning it back over to Ms. Giselle.
Thank you, Ms. Sharpton. So next, we have our Black History Fact of the Day from Miss Emerald Snipes. Clap it up for her, y'all. Really loud. She's coming, y'all.
Hello, good evening, good evening. Black History Fact today will be about Ella Baker. Who knows about Ella Baker? I read about her in school, so that's why I selected her. It was between her, Queen Mother Moore, or her, and I chose Ella Baker. We'll talk about Queen Mother Moore another time. She was a lifelong civil rights activist. She was born in 1903, and she died in 1986. She was from Norfolk, Virginia. To document Ella Baker's life is to recount the history of the civil rights movement. Whenever there was a cause to fight for a group or organize, this dedicated woman was there. Ella grew up and received her education in North Carolina. Upon graduating from Shaw University, she moved to New York City just before the Depression of 1929. There, she became active in various causes. She worked briefly in the Work Projects Administrations, AKA WPA, and then worked to end discrimination, to organize labor throughout NAACP. Ella was very involved with the NAACP as an organizer. She's an educator, education director, and at one time president of the New York branch. Ella went south in 1950 to help organize the civil rights movement as she was developing in Alabama. With 30 years of organizing experience under her belt, Ella's advice to Martin Luther King Jr. and the other leaders of the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955 was invaluable. She stayed south and helped Dr. King set up headquarters for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, AKA the SCLC. A few years later, she played an important part in helping to organize the students in a sit-in demonstration that were occurring over the South. The activity led to the formation of the Student Nonviolent Coordination Committee, one of the most powerful student-led activist movements formed in the U.S. history. She also helped found the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party in 1964, which helped give African Americans in Mississippi a more political power. Ella continued to serve as the godmother and mentor of the SNCC as it moved into the other human rights issues. Her greatest asset was her ability to organize and mobilize people from all generations. Although her name was not publicized as much as the other male leaders, the civil rights movement would not have been the same without her. Shortly after her death in 1986, the documentary entitled Fundy, The Story of Ella Baker was aired on public television. Fundy is the Swahili word for a person who passes on a skill to a younger generation. Fundy is the Swahili word for a person who passes on skills to a younger generation. And it is a fitting description of Ella Baker's legacy. I have a question. Can we not say, or we can say, that Ashley is our generation's Ella Baker? Yes, let's say that. I mean, only because as I've watched Ashley over this past 9 years, and as we see Huddle progress, she's about to kick my behind, but it's okay. It's all right. This is just what I do. But I just feel a connection to this, and that's why when I saw it, I was like, Ella Baker, and I know her story because we did a very extensive, very, very long project that we did on her, and I remember doing this project, and I remember learning about these things. And I only say that to say because everything that I've learned was here at Huddle. Everything, all of my mobilizing, all of my activism, everything that I've learned was right here in this room. So I just have to say that. I'm sorry, it was completely unscripted. But I do feel like you are this generation's Ella Baker. Cheers to you.
Thank you, first of all. But this book was given to us by Queen. I forgot your name. I'm so sorry. It's embarrassing. But this was a gift to Huddle for Women's History Month. Could you stand up, please? This is a gift from her, Sister Barbara. Thank you so much for this gift. And we're going to be reading the Black History Facts from this book. It's amazing. It's literally a book full of Black History Facts about the queens that started the movement, great women in the struggle. So we can pass it around if anybody wants to check it out. But thank you so much for the love.
Yes, thank you so much. And Emerald, stay on my script. But next, we have our membership and text alerts from our very own huddler, Kaylee.
Good evening, Huddle. Is everybody an updated member for the year of 2023? Yes. Have you renewed your membership? If not, this applies to you as well as those who are not members. The best way to stay informed in the action is to become a member of NAN. Stay informed of NAN events close to where you live. Text justice followed by your state to 59769, followed by your state to 59769. Join us at the Saturday Action Rally every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Kaylee. So now I'm going to open the floor up to good news. But before anybody comes up with their good news, I have good news for you today. So Virginia student accepted to over 24 colleges and receives $700,000 in scholarships. And she's black. She's black. Courtney Torin, a senior at Nansemond River High School in Suffolk, has been accepted into more than 24 colleges and universities. And if that's not enough, she has also received more than $700,000 in scholarships. This is a very life-changing experience, says Torin, who is not only a star student, but an All-American cheerleader and the senior class president. Her high school has a wall showing all the colleges and universities that students has been accepted to, and Torin's name appears multiple times. She has been accepted to Spelman College, Salem College, Old Dominion University, Virginia Commonwealth University, and about 20 others. It makes me feel proud of myself, she said. Torin said originally she wanted to go to VCU, then she just kept applying from there. I just feel like I'm very blessed with all these opportunities that I have, and it's made it a little difficult to choose what college I'm going to, she said. But she has decided. She's heading to Regent University to study psychology. Over quarantine, there were incidents going on, such as George Floyd, that really motivated me to understand why people think the way that they think, Torin said. Her principal, Dr. Sean Green, said Torin has always challenged herself by taking advanced courses, so much so that in addition to her high school diploma, she's graduating with an associate's degree. Typically, out of the 400 students, we may have one or two, so she definitely stands out, Green said. The wall of colleges at Nansemond River showcases that students are moving on to different colleges, trade schools, or the military, Green said. It's now to the point where we are backlogged trying to get all the schools up, Green said. Each year, the school also keeps track of the amount all students have received in scholarship money, and it is announced at graduation. Green said it usually totals between $3 million and $8 million. Torrance said getting her name up on the wall multiple times wouldn't have been possible without the support of her friends, family, and especially her dad. He's told me that every time that I say I can't, I have to do it, and I can, she said. We have a quote in our house that says, do what you want to do so you can do what you have to do. It's a quote by Denzel Washington, and that's been my motivation ever since. That concludes my good news. Congrats to Courtney Torrin. Shout out to you. That's awesome. So now I'm going to open the floor to anybody's good news. Anybody could come up. Kids first. You don't have no good news, Kaylee? You don't have no good news, Alyssa, Gino? Y'all suck.
All right, well, my good news is we had a Gelastic. It's kind of like a test, but it's not really a test. It's a practice test for the state test. And there was a question, and we were supposed to answer why there were Siberian tigers, like, going extinct. And then I told them the solution, and that was what the teacher was asking for. She wasn't asking for why, she wasn't asking for how, and she wasn't asking for when. She was asking why.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Huddle. No justice, no peace. My name's LaRon Duncan. I'm with the Welcome Committee, and we're starting an initiative called Digital Activism. So if anyone has any artwork or video that you'd like to express as far as, where you are in the movement, you want to lend to encouragement or inspiration, you can submit videos or artwork, and we'll put it on the backpack. All right, so that way we feel we can, keep the word out, keep the message out. If there's something, you want to say, just let us know. That's one thing. And secondly, we're going to be donating a 360 photo booth. And we're going to be, hopefully, working with the Youth Huddle, see how we can, create some activities centered around, what we're doing to, kind of get more youth involved. All right? Cool. Thank you.
Hello, thank you. So my good news is tomorrow, Tuesday, March 28th at 6 a.m., the Citywide Council of Presidents and NYCHA residents are going to Albany to advocate for fair share of state funding that residents are due. The bus pickup location will be provided after you RSVP. So please RSVP with Marquise at marquise.j2@gmail.com or call 347-837-6422. Again, this is a part of Residents to Preserve Public Housing. And please remember that this is for NYCHA residents only. Thank you again.
And if you have any questions, please go see her.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank each and every one of the Women Auxiliary members and our guests for coming out on Saturday. It was a sold-out event, and I want to thank our leader, Dr. Reverend Al Sharpton, for allowing us to have an event here this year. I want to thank first of all, it was our 25th year doing it. So it was our anniversary, 25 years doing it. And I would like to thank Kathy Jordan Sharpton, who is the chairwoman of the Women Auxiliary. And I would like to thank JT for taking the photos, for flipping the room with us. Thank you so much, JT. I want to thank Dominique Sharpton for sending out the letters and people responding back to her. Thank you, Damo. I want to thank Ashley Sharpton for all the work that you did. Thank you so much, sister. I want to thank Patrice Perry. I know she's not here, but Patrice held it down on Saturday with us. I want to thank Verna Parker. Thank you, Verna, for being at the door. Thank you, Sister Word, for helping us. You think I didn't know, but thank you. Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. And thank you, Cheryl Chapman, for being security at the door. Thank you so much. I just want to say the event was a success, and I couldn't have did it without none of y'all. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Thank you, Arthur Robinson, David Robinson. Thank you so much. Come on, Arthur, blame it on my age now. Thank you.
All right, I'm back. All right, so I have two things to share. So yesterday, we were selected, my organization was selected to present at the Beyond the Bars conference at University of Columbia over here on Amsterdam. So we did a great conference. We had a lot of feedback. We had a lot of people that were engaging, and I was able to gift one of my books to one of the people who attended the conference. Our talk was about righteous anger, because the reality is that people are angry. I know it best than anybody. I know better than anybody about being angry. But we talked about how we turned our anger into action and what righteous anger means to us. You can find our panel on YouTube. Look at University of Columbia Beyond the Bars 2023. So it's somewhere in there, thousands of things. But I will get the photos and the videos to share with everybody. But this Wednesday, I will be at the Institute for Collaborative Education, and that is located at 345 East 15th Street. I will be hosting turning a bill into how to turn a bill into a law presentation for the young people at that school. And we're also trying to organize some of the young people come to convention. So if you want to join and you want to come and talk about convention, just let me know. I'm going to be there from 11 a.m. to 12:15, I believe. So if anybody is available on Wednesday to come and talk about convention there, so, open invitation, preferably Huddle people. But so that's where I'll be on Wednesday. So yes, if you want to tap in, it'll be live. I know that my Columbia University live was a little off, but I'm working on it, I don't got JT money like that, okay? But we're working on our visuals and stuff. But I encourage everyone to support, come see me. If you want to come, I'll leave your name at the door because it is a school, so keep in mind that you got to show your ID, and everybody has to be let in a certain way, and this is a alternative high school in New York, so I really encourage you guys to reach out to this school because they have some dope young people there, and however we can support those young people there. So that's my good news. Thank you, and we have some more stuff coming up. See y'all at convention.
Good evening. So when we say that, we really are saying that the earth and the sun are two halves of peace. That's even in and good for righteousness. So the information I have is there's a group of scientists that meet once a year to discuss melanin. And they never invited a black scientist. Now, melanin is only the cosmetic of carbon of the universe. The universe is hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. That's it. The other thing is elements. So carbon, when people say your carbon footprint, that means you. Whatever you do, your carbon footprint. We call it human being. In reality, we all carbon beings, but that's not going to make the textbooks. They don't want to hear that. So when they discuss melanin, they really discussing how do we keep these black people from getting back where they were eons ago, when there was only black people on the planet. So you might have heard the expression, time doesn't really exist. So that's why they're in operation, because time doesn't really exist, and we have a chance to knock evil and unrighteousness off the top tier of life. By doing that, it's kind of simple and not really easy to understand. Air is earth, E-A-R, earth. Public Enemy once said, bring the noise. It don't have to be noise. All it has to do is be attention. Now the three colors, because you heard of threes, people say people die in threes. Now if the Caucasian hadn't changed the system of right to left to right, because if you think right to left, and you think of your skin, that look already is spinning, because the air is moving, the air is atoms, and it's in connection with the earth that's moving. If you think of your skin right to left, I guarantee you're gonna get super ideas if you make that like a true religion. Even if you're reading left to right, just think of right to left, and all of a sudden, I got a better idea. I got a better idea. I got a better idea. So they put this left to right in place, and that's why the Bible said the whole world, not a part of it, is lying in the power of the wicked one. Not the red guy on the throne, but just everything that they want left to right is the closed side. Like they tell us, coronavirus is meaning death and sickness. It don't have to mean that. When I was listening to this broadcast, and a preacher said, I need 8 people. All I need is 8 people. That's a lot of people just to get 8 people. 8 is a super number. Like the little girls and maybe the little boys might just sing, march around the block. Here we go, loop to loop. That's 2 loops make 8. So what I'm saying is 3 colors and people with attention, because all this is atoms. When you get your phone, it ain't like a picture that go pop, pop. Those pictures are going across this whole atoms. When I'm talking, that's atoms. When you're talking, everybody's talking, that's just atoms, just bouncing to the next speed of light and all that. So when you get your phones, that's not a pop, pop. It's just a ride. So what I'm saying is 3 colors, 3 colors. Just try to remember these 3 colors. It's going to work out. Where we go, we already got gentrification, we already got anybody that's unrighteousness, and they say, ha ha, we don't care. You're just ants to us. Those 3 colors will give them a supreme headache, and they can't stand it. And you know it by the way they will act if everybody staying attention with these 3 colors, or where? On the roof of the mouth. The roof is on fire. So the orange is the sun, the green is the earth, and when they get even together, that's metallic blue, and that's 1, 2, 3. Like you heard turn 1, 2, 3. So if you get your group together, it's going to take 8. 8 skate and exhilarate. Thank you. And they can't stand it, because they wicked.
Okay. I'm jumbled after that. I'm sorry. So now we will move on to our Did You Knows. First one, yours truly. My Did You Know is about 3 Black leaders offer one practical solution to reduce police assaults on Black motorists. I like this. The Department of Justice announced last week that it will review the use of police force by the Memphis Police Department. It also plans to examine the operations of specialized police units, such as the one responsible for killing Tyree Nichols. The decision by federal authorities to launch a probe into the events that led to Nichols' killing is welcome news. We can't afford to wait for the investigation's results. However, to fix a problem that endangers Black lives every day, needless traffic stops. As 3 Black men, we know firsthand the worry of whether the everyday act of driving will end in tragedy for ourselves, our brothers and sisters, or nieces and nephews and children, just as it did for Nichols. And as leaders of 3 of the nation's largest organizations committed to criminal and racial justice, we understand that there are concrete steps we can take to enact policies that make traffic stops safer for our families and for all Black Americans. Statistics show just how dangerous driving while Black can be. Traffic stops are one of the most common ways police encounter the public. Police make 20 million stops each year, according to research. Black motorists are less likely than white drivers to possess illegal items such as drugs or weapons, but they are stopped more often. And after a traffic stop, they are more likely to be searched. Of the more than 1,000 people killed by police each year, 10% involve traffic stops. The most common stated reasons for a traffic stop. One study found that nearly half were for minor issues such as a broken taillight, a defective or missing license plate, or tinted windows. Why is this the work of armed police officers? Don't be fooled into thinking that those 20 million stops are at all necessary. Targeted efforts to deliver safety. Traffic stops are a major moneymaker, and Black people know this. Some towns and cities generate at least 10% of their annual budgets from traffic stop revenue. Traffic stops are poor tools for fighting crime and make the roadways markedly less safe for Black drivers. Black people in this country and law enforcement come into contact entirely too often. Changing the way traffic stops happen in this nation is foundational to any discussion about police reform. States and localities have an important role to play by passing laws and ordinances to end or at least limit the use of traffic stops for low-level issues that do not affect safety, such as a broken taillight or tinted windows. Following Nichols' death, the Memphis City Council acquired to public demands and took a step in the right direction by considering an ordinance that will redirect police away from low-level traffic stops. But no city or state should wait until a tragedy occurs or they're under the scrutiny of media attention before acting. Some states have adopted or are considering similar policies, including Virginia, Oregon, and Washington, as well as the cities of Philadelphia and Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Meanwhile, prosecutors in Minnesota, Michigan, and Vermont have found law enforcement practices resulting from traffic stops so gratuitously harmful that they have refused to charge cases that emerge from them. Traffic stops have proven to be deadly from coast to coast, but waiting for these municipalities to solve the problems means that Black Americans living in these cities and states could be vulnerable at any time they decide to travel. Immediate action is needed, and the Biden administration must take the lead. The U.S. Department of Transportation sends hundreds of millions of dollars each year in highway safety funding to states on the condition that localities engage in traffic enforcement. By reforming traffic stops, federal, state, and local leaders can save countless lives. Transportation Secretary Pete, what y'all said, no, stop, Buttigieg, should instruct his department to disburse safety grants to localities that limit low-level traffic stops and rely on traffic enforcement methods other than police, including civilian traffic professionals who can address road safety issues without the intimidation and possible danger of a badge and a gun. States and cities can also eliminate the basis for millions of traffic stops in the first place by offering vouchers for free repairs and services to motorists to fix broken taillights, replace a defective or missing license plate, or renew a lapsed registration. Several counties and cities have launched these kinds of programs, including Long Island, Suffolk County, New York, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. None of these reforms require more policing or more funding for the police. They will all increase safety in Black communities that are over-policed yet under-deserved. Police funding can go toward investigating and resolving real crimes rather than undermining the legitimacy of law enforcement in our communities. We as a society must stop incentivizing police departments to conduct traffic enforcement on what amounts to low-level offenses. We must not wait until the next tragedy to take action on these concrete steps forward. That is the best way to honor Tyree Nichols and countless others who have been surveilled, harassed, and too often killed while doing something as simple as driving while Black. That was my Did You Know? So I don't have a question because clearly they found the answer. And I just want to say that everything is not going to be fixed completely, but as long as us as a community, as Black people, fight hard and try to find solutions like this and get put in the papers, this is something that other Black people can watch and can honor, and we can do the same. So that just shows how much power we have as Black people. So for our second Did You Know? I would like to call up Trayvon. Clap it up for him, y'all.
Thank you, thank you. Forgive me. All righty. How many of you have heard some news regarding the former president and the Manhattan DA's office? All right. So, as of 5 minutes ago, I just checked. No, he has not been arrested yet. Sorry. But, however, there's some other stuff going on. So, recently, Al Sharpton held a prayer vigil for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg after he has been receiving death threats. So Reverend Al Sharpton held a prayer vigil in Harlem for the safety of Manhattan District Attorney Saturday afternoon after he's been receiving death threats for the past week. This comes as former President Donald Trump held a campaign rally in Texas in the shadow of a possible criminal indictment. Cover the District Attorney of Manhattan, Alvin Bragg Sharpton, said, at the National Action Network here in Harlem, yes, right here, Sharpton voiced his support for District Attorney Alvin Bragg after he received death threats and what later was determined to be a non-hazardous white powder at his office on this past Friday. We do not want to see him having to do his job under threat or fear for his family and his wife, Sharpton said. Trump is being criticized for a post he wrote earlier that day, warning of possible death and destruction if he is to be indicted, potentially on alleged campaign finance violations. He wrote in part, "What kind of person can charge another person when it is known by all that no crime has been committed, and also known that potential death and destruction in such a false charge could be catastrophic for our country?" The same Alvin Bragg, Manhattan DA, that they're saying is going after Trump with a political agenda. A year ago, he stopped the investigation of Donald Trump, Reverend Sharpton said. The former president is also getting backfire for reposting an altered image of himself holding a baseball bat next to an image of Bragg. Fordham law professor Cheryl Bader says Trump could even be charged for posting for that type of post. Potential charges of menacing and aggravated harassment, inciting a riot, which he might even be more revitus for, she said. Trump has called the investigation politically motivated. This past Monday, Robert Costello testified before the Manhattan grand jury, calling Michael Cohen totally unreliable. Hard to say exactly what's going to happen. It seems now that there is some hesitation potentially as to looking for a true bill from this grand jury. So I think there is a possibility it could go either way at this point, former federal prosecutor Anne Marie McAvoy said. So recently, the former president, the Manhattan DA's office is looking to, whether or not decide to indict the former president, but Trump indicated a couple days ago and even yesterday that his arrest is imminent. That is still to be seen. Literally, that could happen within a day or 2 days or the week, a decision with that. So up until they finally make a decision, we might have a part 2 to this article to talk about the impending arrest or the non-arrest of former President Donald Trump. Until we get that decision, we will circle back to this conversation. Thank you, and that's my Did You Know?
Thank you, Trey. So for our third Did You Know, I would like to call up Miss Ashley Sharpton. Clap it up for her, y'all.
Okay, this article is weird, but it was sent in by Rachel Nordlinger. We all know Rachel Nordlinger from Actum, our brand strategist, media maven. All right. Everybody know what AI is? It's referenced a lot in this article. All right, that was good. Sorry, I didn't know if everybody knew what that was. Okay, so for those who don't know, AI is artificial intelligence, all right? Listen to this. Okay, Levi Strauss & Company is partnering with an AI company to increase the number and diversity of our models for our products in a sustainable way, the company announced in a press release. The partnership is with LaLaLand.ai, which specializes in AI-generated fashion models. In the press release, Levi said that they will test the use of AI models to supplement real-life models later this year. While AI will likely never fully replace human models for us, we are excited for the potential capabilities this may afford us for the consumer experience, said Dr. Amy Bolis, Global Head of Digital and Emerging Technology Strategy at Levi Strauss & Co. Many Twitter users pushed back on the idea that the solution to a lack of diversity in fashion is AI models, rather than hiring real models, with people calling the decision lazy, absurd, and racist, to cite just a few responses. The point of modeling clothes is so customers can see an accurate representation of how the clothing item fits a real human body. Not only is it absurd to computer generate diversity instead of hiring real diverse people, but this completely defeats the purpose of model photos. And there was a whole bunch of other tweets in the article. It was previously reported Levi's company was planning to lay off 800 employees, almost 20% of its corporate jobs. The cuts were expected to save the company $75 million to $100 million annually. So some saying this is, basically it was a financial benefit, but some are saying it's also racist, because why would they go to the diverse models to go to basically to the AI option? Does anyone have any thoughts on this? Any response to this article? So everyone is okay with fake models taking our spots as diverse models in the industry? Right, because that's basically what's happening. So instead of hiring Black and Spanish people, Black and brown, to diversify the fashion industry, they're now basically going to basically digital models. So you understand what I'm saying? Sorry. Okay, Kaylee. But I just want everybody to fully understand that. So that takes away, we already have an issue, and I'm passionate about that because growing up, I was passionate about fashion entertainment. But it's very, very hard in the designer world, in the fashion world, for Black designers to even win. If you count on your hand, you can't count on your hand basically household names that are basically Black-owned. Even if you think they're Black-owned, they're not Black-owned. So it's very, very hard for fashion designers to make that pivot. It's like literally two that have fashion houses internationally. So for us to, that's designers. And then for the modeling world, we all know the Alec Weck and the Naomi and different, Black and brown who made the strides, even Kamorley Simmons for the Asian, but now it's going to AI models. And that basically cuts out an entire bracket of Black and brown models now to go to basically digitized models. And they're not saying this is for their regular campaign, regular Levi's, it's just for the diversity campaign. So it's basically impacting us, okay? Just so y'all fully understand.
I'm not okay with it. The reason why is because there's a lot of other models you could hire instead of just going to AI, artificial intelligence, because then there's going to be malfunctions and everything because you don't know what could happen with technology. And with a human, okay, you might like you might get sick, but that's the only thing. With AI, only if it's waterproof, then you're gonna mess up, because if you have AI, then it doesn't make sense because that thing is brainless and it really doesn't bring like what you need.
Thank you, Kay. Word.
All right. Sister Ashley kind of like insisted on a statement, and I appreciate you doing that because I'm full of opinions. So I'm thinking about artificial intelligence. When she was reading the article, there's always confusion when it comes to this technology. It's never really clear. So they're pushing out numbers that it will save millions of dollars, but how was it being spent in the first place that now they're saving? Like how does artificial intelligence save that much money? Like I don't even understand that statement. So it doesn't make sense. And then I thought about Fashion Week. They're never going to get rid of Fashion Week. That requires human beings. So again, when I heard the word artificial intelligence, it's like a cartoon. So it's not really to be taken really seriously. So I don't think we should panic at all. It's Lee Strauss, and just don't wear Levi's striped stuff. I mean, just that simple. Yeah, just don't wear it. Don't wear it. Yeah.
Thank you. Very good responses. I was waiting for somebody to say boycott Levi. But I just want also just be on our P's and Q's. I know Word said that we shouldn't be worried, but I've always, since I watched the Jetsons since I was little, I've always imagined that that was like a sign that this was the future of the world. And there was also an article last year that talked about like the top 10 jobs that will not be in existence in about 15 years. And lawyer was one of them. It was like shocking to see like this, like basically they won't have usage simply because of not just artificial intelligence, but basically because of the internet. And they'll have robots and different, AI I guess, but digital options instead of basically the real life versions. So I urge you, our young people, you on your phones, those things in your hand, that's not the only way to tech. That's not the only way into digital. I encourage you to take tech classes. I encourage you to learn coding. I encourage you to learn how to make apps. And I'm not just saying it nicely, I'm talking about that because that's the way to make money. If they're hiring models, AI models, they're soon gonna be hiring AI people in McDonald's and Macy's and whatever. You won't be needed. It's already at the toll booths. There's already, that's already on Broadway. They're like spotlights. And so, like in Vegas, there's whole concerts with just illusion, if that makes sense. So what I want you to understand is the jobs are going to those who can control that. And to create an AI model, somebody has to still create that, right? So if you learn how to do tech, and if you learn how to create that, seriously, then y'all can still control that, and you'll still have a way in the business and a way to make money in the future. Just telling y'all, yes. Yes, you should. All right, I'm gonna help you look for some coding schools. And I know Miss Gina Williams, Miss Bronx, has that on deck. Yes, Word, sorry. Yes, it's a hologram. Right, and you think you're watching Michael Jackson, and it's a hologram, and you're just as entertained, and millions of dollars are being made, and basically you don't even have to employ real people. Right. Soon they'll be having pilots that just go up there and just like it's a whole bunch of things that you can just go and do, and you won't need people, which is scary. So I'm just saying, just stay woke. This is happening. All right, who's next? Dominique, you have your Did you know article? Thank you.
Yes, just like Ashley said, for our fourth and last, did you know, Miss Dominique Sharpton. Clap it up for her, y'all.
All right, so this is something that we can all participate in because it's something that hits closer to home. Unfortunately, these instances keep happening in our communities, in our schools, and we really need to talk about active solutions to keep our kids safe in school and get the guns off the streets. So y'all know that 3 children and 3 adults were killed today in Nashville, Tennessee, in an elementary school shooting. The attacker is also dead. 3 children and 3 adults, they were killed while inside a Nashville elementary school on this morning. The attacker was identified as a 28-year-old Nashville woman and was killed on the scene of the Covenant School by responding police officers. As the facts are coming out and investigations, of course, is happening as to why this, took place in the first place, we do know that the woman was a former student at the private Christian school, where obviously she, had graduated or attended, many, many years ago, as she's now an adult. And the young victims were identified. They were all 9 years old. And, it really, like I said, it is overwhelming to continue to hear about these instances as they play out, especially in our schools. The report also stated that a responding police officer was injured as he tried to, come on the scene and respond to the acts of violence and the disarray and people, frantically moving about. But upon arrival, the officers literally just sprayed this woman with bullets and asked no questions. So, a question does become, at the end of the day, as these instances keep happening and, trauma literally lurks in these areas. Like, after this incident happens, now we have to deal with
victims and young people who are terrified to go to school in this community. And, the challenge that the community has to heal, after these tragedies and how that looks like. Seriously, the mental stability of this community is definitely challenged at this moment. And we need to, of course, offer our condolences, but also talk about solutions as to how we heal through tragedies like this while we're waiting on gun legislation and stuff to pass. What do we do in the meantime to continue to heal as we're dealing with tragedies like this? So people can come up, give your responses if you want. Certainly we don't want to have to talk about these things, but unfortunately they are happening and they continue to happen, and we've got to do something to be actively involved in changing them. So let me know your thoughts. Does anyone have anything they want to share in regards to this incident? Anything that we can do to stay active and to keep our kids safe in schools? Kaylee?
So I don't think anybody remembers, but do you remember the Texas shooting where like a bunch of kids and a bunch of teachers got murdered in Texas? Yeah, so this really brings it up because there's like a lot of school shootings, and then I get worried because I go to school as well, and so is my cousins, and that worries me a lot. And today I thought we were gonna have a fire, like we were gonna have a fire drill, and we all walked out. And people were just looking out the window and stuff, and I was scared. And I don't know why I was scared, but I was just scared. I had a whole bunch of stuff going on in my mind. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So in listening to this article, this lady was affiliated with the school as a child? Yes. Yeah, so when I heard that, I don't know what the circumstances are, of course, but I usually want to believe that they were alerted to a problem that this person had. And I personally believe that if it was brought to their attention that a former student or even a current student is having some type of issue, I really believe the person should receive some type of consultation to really understand what the issue is and to really help them resolve it. And also, I was thinking of there's people coming here with crisis. And one thing I know from my experience of being a volunteer with crisis, sometimes a person just wants to hear a small solution. It doesn't have, sometimes we can't do the major big one. But I notice that whenever somebody talks to me about any of their problems, I give them a realistic small solution, and the whole state of mind becomes more relieved. So I really believe that if these school administrators and these teachers are aware of any student who has vocalized any problem, regardless to what level they want to consider that problem to be on, start talking to the person directly and let the person know that we're really concerned with their well-being, and there's a way to resolve whatever the issue is in a reasonable manner, because that small effort could really make a big difference in what the person decides to do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know people like to look for vulnerable people. So whoever's vulnerable is usually the one who gets attacked. So it's really hard for me to think that taking away everyone's gun when someone is illegally getting a gun makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if you can legally get a gun and you can legally learn how to use a gun, I'm always wondering, why don't people do that? Like I know for myself, I don't feel like I need to get a gun and I don't feel like I need to learn how to use one. But I do believe that vulnerable people get attacked. I don't feel like I'm vulnerable, and therefore I don't feel like I need a gun, because I don't think people size me up and think they can take over. But people that see children, we know that a lot of children A lot of these small schools with children have been getting attacked. They have no metal detectors at the school. They have no security. No one's amping up security. No one's doing anything to not be vulnerable. Who does that? Like, we have security systems because we know that houses that don't have security systems are vulnerable. So why do we have so many schools that continue to not have security checks, no kind of police presence? It's just weird to me. And I think it's because it's a manipulation to try to use this story about, oh, we need to take away the guns so people that illegally get guns can shoot us all. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, where's the security? Where's the sense in that? I remember taking classes on how to defend myself, and they said to scream fire because fire affects everyone. They said help doesn't affect everyone. They said you can't scream help because that's your problem. But they said fire makes everybody look. They said when you have a problem, you scream fire because people look, people want to say, oh, everybody. That's how people work.
That's right. Thank you. Gino?
I think, like, for all schools, they should at least have police officers or, like, security guards on the outside. Because now, at my school, ever since it was a shooting near my school, now we got police officers, like, when we come outside the school, like, when it's dismissal, there's a police officer right there in front and then on the corner. But I agree with the metal detectors. I feel like they should have that in all schools. I know one school that has one. It's AFL. It's in Manhattanville. And, yeah.
I want to address the elephant in the room. The fact of the matter is, from the time they took our prayer, meditation out of our schools, our kids haven't been stopped from being inundated with killing and shooting. Our kids have no protection, a coverage. I had the blessed fortune to have my son in boarding school when he was in high school. And as quiet as it's kept, if no one tell people, every boarding school boarding school facility has a chapel on its premises. The students are not asked, they're not voted, they're not giving what their religion opinion is, they are mandated. Let me tell everyone, they are mandated to attend chapel every day. It don't care what your religion is. This is for children who are rich people, who are senators, congressmen, wealthy people. Their kids are being covered. When I tell you, when people think taking prayers or taking that form of meditation out of school is nothing. I remember when I was in school, we had silent meditation. There was always guns. Guns didn't just happen to poof on planet Earth. They've always been here. But when we have taken out prayers, I remember no one asked me if they wanted prayers to come out of school. No one asked any of you guys. And no one asked any of our black community. Why are our children not protected on the presence of God? I don't care about what you think it is. There is a higher being than ourselves. And when we ignore that, we allow the enemy and evilness to seep in the crevices. How much more metal detectors our kids need to go through? How much more do we need to secure? What, we need to secure a teacher? So when the teacher feels as though a kid is going to act up in class, the first thing she's going to do is to go to her desk and run and shoot the kid? Is that what they expect the teacher to do? Well, we need to look at the problem. And we as the black people, stop listening to, I'm going to be honest with you, stop listening to what white people say and tell you how to teach your kids and raise your own kids. Be active in your community. When I tell you, in boarding school, these are where senators, congressmen and women, wealthy people have their children. My son was on the premises of the president's kids when he was in boarding school. Okay? I'm trying to tell you. Their kids they have to be mandated to go to chapel every day, not ask. So we need to think about that. Not add more guns, but give them security of the presence of God.
Thank you so much for sharing, Sister Rose. For me, I think, just lost my train of thought. All right, so it happens. I'm getting old here. But in all seriousness, I'm a product of public schools. Pre-K through, even I went to public college. With that being said, this movement of private schools, boarding schools, the whole nine, you know, what we do have to do, resources and investment in education. And that doesn't just start with, one entity. We as a community, we as family members have to be active in our education and our children's education. And I am a believer that, if parent, student, teacher, community is involved, you tend to get results. Not to say that I had all of those things, but as we talk legislation, if we can't get gun legislation, how about we start pouring more resources into the schools? Whether that's, funding for teachers, counselors, programs, resources, things to do, things for kids to get involved with, stuff, for people to get focused on, mental health services, crisis management, what do we call conflict resolution, all of these different things, because it seems as if, you can go to any schools now, there's a lack of resources. Thus, there's no outlet for people to go to get their problems addressed or solved. And, everything that's been going on with people's households, it's not places or very many places for people to go. So I think, we just need to pour more resources into our education. And, we as a community need to play an important role in that.
Thank you so much. I will say that piggybacking, I think, of both what Sister Word and Trayvon said in terms of investments and in terms of dealing with mental health issues. Clearly, this woman, like Sister Word said, there had to have been some notification that she was experiencing some type of issue. And the question becomes, where is the lack of resources? Does the lack of resources lie in dealing with conflict resolution? Does it lie in not having adequate mental health resources in communities? Does it lie in, not having adequate information and resources available in terms of safety and prevention? We need to, I think, pinpoint specifically how resources are allocated and what kind of resources are allocated and where they're going, because I think that it would definitely, if we could regulate those resources, I think it would help in dealing with, preventing massive issues like this from erupting and happening if we, kind of scale back and deal with it piece by piece. So that's my take on that. Unfortunately, another mass shooting has happened in Nashville, Tennessee, and parents are grieving, communities are needing healing, and young people are terrified to go to school. But we've got to stay in the fight, and we know that it's going to be a long haul, but we've got to stay committed. So thank you so much for listening and for adding your contribution and your voice to the discussion. All right, before Giselle wraps up, I just want to, I should have said this earlier in good news, but thank you to everybody who auditioned for the castings yesterday. They came out. We had a huge response online, huge response in person. Thank you, everybody. We're looking forward to April 15th, Youth and College Day. And anybody who's still interested, the castings are open online until 11:59 tonight. So that's talent, designers, and models. If you're interested, you can still email your information to sharptonentllc@gmail.com or nayouthhuddle@gmail.com. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody else besides me, for your Did You Know? We appreciated it. So now I'm going to close us out in a prayer. Can everybody bow their heads? JT included. Bow your head, please. Dear God, thank you for this food we're about to eat and receive. Thank you for the hands that are preparing it for us, and God bless them. Thank you, everybody, for joining us at Huddle on this Good Monday, and hopefully everybody leaves safely. Please and thank you to our people who are handling the food. Amen.